Hi, everybody. It's Dawn Whitaker. Welcome to Dreams Unveiled. And this episode, I will be talking to my friend Rachel Kensington. And I just want to let you know, Rachel and I met on an airplane coming from Utah last year. And we have been friends ever since. So it's really wonderful. And I'm thrilled to have her here and to be able to share in this dream with her. And before I ask her to read her dream, I just wanted to give you this little bit of information. Dreams, if you don't write them down right away, what ends up happening is that within minutes, you can lose up to 95% or more of your dream once you wake up. It happens that quickly. Part of that, they're not positive why it happens, but it's likely that once you wake up, you're using now or prioritizing different parts of your brain that are normally inactive during the dreaming process. So your brain switching some things off and some things on may be why we tend to lose a lot of our dreams. So I just wanted to share that because before she read it, she's like, I don't even remember this dream. And I thought that was a good opportunity to share this. So go ahead, Rachel, and tell us about your dream.
Okay, and I'm reading this because, well, I remembered it and I shared it with you. Since then, I forgot. And fortunately, since I did share it with you and you had it written down, you could remember. But when you reminded me, it all came back. So
Awesome.
the dream was I was with a group of like minded people, a large group, many of whom I didn't know. Not sure of the purpose anymore, but we all seemed to be interested in the same goal of being prepared. Don't know what prepared, but prepared. Perhaps it was an office group, as the room contained cubicles like an office. There were open areas where we gathered together in agreement. Our activities and actions gave the impression of unity, except for one small group of people. I became interested in watching them. They were there, but I could feel that they were not there to be a part of the group. Then they began doing some hand actions between themselves. I couldn't understand what they were doing. I'm not talking about sign language. I'm talking about really uh, silly hand movements. Um, then I kept walking and turned a corner to find one area was doused with orange juice. Orange juice was thrown on the cubicle, walls, floor, and everywhere. That's when I sensed that objection was among us. Then I woke up, pondering what I just viewed. I thought that was strange. What am I to make of that? I wasn't sure what to think about the orange juice. Now, the color, I referred to it as orange juice because it was the only thing I could think of because it looked like orange juice. But that was the dream.
All right.
Now, my dream queen,
All right, let's
tell
make this
me.
happen. And what we're going to do is just kind of take it section at a time, okay?
Okay.
So we'll start with you're in this room with cubicles and you're with like-minded people. So the room with cubicles that kind of resembled an office, very likely could represent something like your routine in life, something regimented, right? An office implies that there are rules and structure to it. The cubicles could very well be compartmentalization. So that may be a big thing as far as how that starts out. And you have people all over that are like-minded. And you say that they're people you've never met. And so one of the things I do want to say that we never dream about people we haven't met. They're in our brains somewhere. Okay. So that's really kind of an interesting thing that the information that we draw on in our dreams is information that is in our brains. So I've talked that I do believe in prophetic dreams and things like that. But for a dream that's really looking at your waking life or helping you to have understanding of things, it's all in your head, literally. So it seems to me at this point, just considering the room, that the dream is about something about you having control, you having freedom in your life. And I think that's a big deal. On a personal level, and it's important, and we'll switch back and forth, that a lot of times with dreaming, it could be about the people, but really it's always about you. It really is. So sometimes the people could represent this, something external to yourself, and then sometimes they could represent you. So you could be dreaming out about another person, and that person can be representing another part of you as opposed to being another person.
So are you saying the people that I considered not part of the group, they're people I knew, but I did not feel comfortable around?
Well, I think the faces, the people, uh, they're all people that you know, but they're just imagery in the dream. Okay. You see what you're talking about right there, and that's a good question. You're talking about your brain would actually have to plan that out to place these people that are in your memory in the dream. But the part of the brain that would do that is inactive, is relatively inactive during the dreaming process. So the part that's awake is your visual, your emotional, and your memory. For the most part, those that's the governing features, brain functions during your dream. That's not an always and a never, but it's a most of the time. So you're I don't know what your brain was thinking when it grabbed those faces out of the depths of your mind. No idea. But most of the time, we don't even remember these people, that we're looking at it like they're all strangers. But somewhere it could have been in the grocery store when you were 5, suddenly you came in touch with somebody. So,
I mean, I don't remember their faces. It's just a feeling like, okay, they're really not a welcoming part of the group.
right. Yeah, and faces sometimes are kind of vague because faces have so much information in them. It's one of the things our eyes can look on that really has so much information that it takes a lot of different aspects of the brain working together to process a face.
Mhm.
So, but sometimes you can remember clearly. Typically, my experience is I just know, right? I know somebody doesn't look like themselves, but I know that's who they are.
Mhm.
So some of that is just nuance because of the parts of the brain that are working when you're dreaming.
I must tell my husband that I'm working when I'm dreaming.
You are working when you're dreaming. You are
Oh,
changing. You could be healing things. You're improving your emotional memory. You're doing all kinds of things. So that's a pretty cool thing. So so the workplace also, that kind of portrayal can also be talking about internal work you need to do, things you need to work on in yourself, personal issues, any relationship issues, developing self-development things, anything like that. And that's that kind of like that dual function where, it's this kind of an environment for this purpose, but it can also mean that. Doesn't mean that it has to. But I think when I look at the whole dream, that's a likely possibility that this really is about change and growth, and you're exploring things. So so the second part of the dream, if we really want to um, look about at this, is the idea that there is now you're with a whole bunch of people. You don't really know them, but you know they're all like-minded. You're all gathered for unity, in unity, and for a like-minded purpose, even though you don't know what that is, which really goes to show that what's important is that you're gathered for a like-minded purpose. So this automatically shows me 100% that you are seeking connectivity with people. You are seeking to really be part of something bigger than yourself. You are seeking interpersonal relationships. So I think that is without a doubt, what the goal of this dream is. You are actually seeking common goals, common shared experiences, friendships, strong relationships, strong connections to people. And I think that is the theme. Does that make sense to you?
Sure. And I think, as I look back, I'm getting older. I'm not as young as I used to be. And I find that life is changing, and the relationships I had when I was younger, they moved away. The whole spectrum of people that I know seem to has evolved into a different set. And so now that I'm older, I'm having more trouble finding like-minded people, because either they moved away or they, whatever, they passed on. That's a scary thought lately, but it's just a change that I'm not that, I'd like to have more like-minded people in my life.
No, and I totally understand that. And I think, especially for anybody older, but for everybody altogether, COVID and the isolation that happened during COVID really changed the landscaping of getting together and doing things. And I think that probably set something in motion too. And I hear this from a lot of my friends how that has really impacted them. And not only their their relationships with other people, but just getting together, memory stuff, all of those things were impacted. And I think the older people were, the more of an impact that it was.
True. And I find even today, even that COVID's passed, even today, people are still, some of my older friends, they won't go out and socialize like they used to because of the fear of what might come.
Mm.
And so it causes a little hesitancy between us. You just can't say, hey, let's go to a movie. Or and even now, with the environment, and when you listen to the news, there's more division on people's thoughts politically, and with illnesses. And so whenever you go to, say, I want to go to a concert, the first thing on my mind is it going to be safe? Do I have to worry about something? And I mean, I'm delving off the subject here a little bit, but there's a lot more that goes into your thought process in today's environment than what it used to be. And so it feels like somebody's thrown cold water on my social life.
Well, and I just want to let you know, you're not delving off the subject because this is what the dream was about. And the fact that you did dream it shows how important this is to you. I mean, this is something that you need. We were created to be relational. We really absolutely were. And just so you all know, Rachel would be sitting here right next to me in the studio, except she lives in Pennsylvania and I live in New York, and we just couldn't get it together that quick. But I love Zoom and I'm very grateful for it. But my desire is that in person hanging
Right.
out with people. And I know that's your heart too. And that's what you really enjoy in life. And so that dream is really kind of letting you know that is a real human need that you have. It's a great desire that you have, and it's something that you don't have in the way that you want it. So,
Well, that brings us up to our next section.
yes, it does. Well, you are good. We could just do this all, we could just do this. You should join all my dream stuff.
This is the good one. This is the juicy one.
Yes. Oh, juice, orange juice. Yeah, no pun
Yes.
intended. You're too punny. So, so then we have this group, this small group in the larger group. And my understanding is this small group wasn't separate from the larger group. It was kind of like this little group of rebels within the group, right? And interestingly, nobody else seemed to have noticed them, but you did. You noticed them and you were kind of checking them out and seeing what they were up to. And the before we even get to the orange juice part, let's talk about the idea that there is this group of they're dissenters, whatever their role is, but they are in some way rebelling or disconnected from the larger group. Okay. So, what that shows me, and this is where a group of people can actually represent you, a part of you is that you share the same values. There's this large group of people that you could be having relationships with, but you feel that you're excluded. All right. This is exclusionary. You feel that you are not, that you are part of the group, but you're not part of the group. And that maybe that you're not heard in the group. Maybe that you feel dismissed. It may be that you're ostracized. It could be anything like that. But this opposing group really has affected your sense of belonging in the group at large, that you're a part of, but you don't feel like you belong.
Well, maybe I'm being selfish and I want everybody's attention. I know that's going off.
Well, you
uh,
know what? If that were really true, I think that would manifest very differently and much more directly, just so you know.
okay. Okay.
But and you know what? We love people, and it's okay to just want people all the time. I mean, it really is not to like be needy, but to really just love being around people. That's a great quality.
But at the same time, I find that there's some people you meet, it kind of reminds me of an animal. The dogs I've had, they can be friendly to the, well, actually, I went to this one car lot and there was dogs with this sign that says beware of dog. And we walked right in, petted the dogs, and the owner said, how did you get in here? It's like, well, if they have a sense on the type of people, do we possess that sense when we meet people that, maybe they're really not who they are, or how do I put it? It's just something about them that feels off. I don't know. Maybe is my dream saying that I just didn't. I mean, was it visual or was it a spiritual sense that they weren't who they were?
You mean the little group, the rebel group?
Yeah, the OJ group.
Yep. Well, I think it could have been either, but what I really think is that because that represented you,
Oh, okay. I missed that.
that's okay. There's so much in these dreams, and people don't expect there to be that much in the dream. So that group represented you, and it represented a you that felt dismissed and unheard, and kind of on the fringe of the group that you normally belong to, with everybody with the same values and beliefs and all of that. Okay. And so the orange juice, which is kind of a fun, I mean, they weren't toting guns or slingshots. They had orange juice. Orange juice was their weapon. Okay.
Well,
So the
that's
group,
sweet and healthy and wholesome that we think of it, sunshine, but they're throwing it away.
well, so let's go back and look at the beginning of the dream. Okay. One of the first things that I kind of felt that it was about the structure and routine, right? The cubicles and the office space.
Yeah.
And they were throwing orange juice. So orange juice, vitality, energy, tasty, it's about feeling good, vitamin C. It's all of those things. It has that health component, except it has too much sugar, but that's a whole nother video. Um, and it's so that really the part of you that is saying, I want connection, I want mutual connection, is throwing all of the stuff over the structure and routine of your environment.
Oh, okay.
So does that resonate with you? Can you see that?
Yeah, now that you put it that way.
No. And I will remind everybody that this only I have interpretation. Some of it's based on archetypes, which are kind of standard symbols. Typically, houses represent our inner selves, for instance, would be a standard archetype, um, or a standard symbol that is shared. But this interpretation really has to make sense to you. Okay. So a lot of it, when you're saying, when you made the reference of, I wonder if that was spiritual, or, why would I have looked at it that way? A lot of that are things that you need to draw upon in your waking life, because the dream is just presenting things that and going through some things that need to be gone through. And you do some of it in your waking life and then some of it when you're sleeping, because most of our healing happens when we're sleeping.
And that's interesting because listening to you, when I started out in the dream, what we call our OJ group was part of the group, but not part of the group. They were being a little different. And so now you're saying that is a representation of how I feel perhaps about myself.
Mhm.
That I'm part of the group, but I'm unique in that I'm doing stuff that maybe people are looking at and saying, that doesn't quite look normal, but so okay, so I need to internalize that instead of externalizing it.
And here's the thing, the you being different. Now let's talk about why you would feel set apart from the group, okay? One thing is that you shared this, that you're still seeking interpersonal connection with people, that you want to be around people. And a lot of people, especially some of your friends, they're less inclined to go out and do things together. They're less inclined to be out in public or in groups. So that could be one thing that that where you're set apart. Some of the other things that can set us apart is maybe we have some core beliefs about ourselves. Maybe some of the things that we look at us that we tend to see people as having different worth or value than we do. And that could show up like this in a dream. And I think that we all have those characteristics. So it's really important to really have that understanding that those may be some of the things that are showing up. The other thing could be that we're just coming off of winter, and winter was not the most pleasant winter we've ever had. And we're all a little stir crazy and tired of being kind of stuck inside, and we're now just getting out and just doing things. And so that could be a part of it as well. And this is what's really important to have some understanding of what's going on. A lot of times people have old dreams that were really compelling, but I won't feature them on the podcast because they are they don't know the context of what was going on in their life at the time that they had the dream. And therefore I can't be really helpful
Yeah.
in understanding it.
So
So
then if I reverse my thinking to understand what you've just said, if I own the OJ group and I am the one that's splatting orange juice everywhere, and that is my energy, my vitamin C, and I'm just at the point where I just want to share it. I want to put it anywhere I can put it, and where it falls. And so not to look at that as a separate group, but as expressing myself um, in an orange juice way.
in a very orange juice way.
Okay, that's putting a positive light on that reflection.
And I think this is a very positive dream. I think that so one of the big things with dreams, I want to say problem, but it's how we're made. So one of the big things with dreams is that emotion is a huge part of dream. And the primary emotion that we ever experience in dreams, believe it or not, is anxiety. But sometimes you have to look strongly for really favorable imagery. And this really is favorable imagery. And it's saying, I may not feel like I belong all the time, but I want connection. And it's time I change. I get rid of the routines and structure that are preventing me from having connection. And maybe I need to find new ways to connect or new people to connect to. And so I think that's the message of the dream. And I think it's beautiful.
Is this our own home mental video? If you can't see yourself, your mind will conjure up a dream and it will be your home video, and then we'll look to you to help understand it.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
But I really do think that that's what it is. And I think if because we've had conversations lately and stuff, and I really value your friendship. And I think this is very fitting for you where you are right now.
Yeah, now that I hear you explain it, because when I first had the dream, I thought, wow, this is so negative. These people are just barging in on the group and just doing really bad stuff. But now that you've explained that it's an expression of possibly my inner self, then now there's a positive light and I can look at it in a whole different direction. That's
Uh,
very good. Thank you.
no, I'm very glad, and I love that you are really so about connecting with people in any way you can, and I think more people need to feel that way.
Yeah, and I think with the environment, sometimes we get a little afraid to reach out. But on the other hand, when you do reach out, you find some interesting people like that lady at the airport, you know. But that was cool. Thank you.
So, well, I really appreciate the opportunity to share your dream with you, Rachel.
Well, thank
And
you for being, you know, understanding and have that gift. I think people have different gifts, and that's why we connect with each other so we can, interact and share those gifts. And I think your gift of being able to understand dreams is a very passionate and worthwhile one.
well, I appreciate that. And I hope your gift for fishing finds its way up to Central New York. How's that?
I will take you up on that.
All right. Well, everybody, I just want to thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dreams Unveiled and have sweet dreams.